nostalgic.
I have a confession to make. I'm not really that big a fan of Disney. And I'm not saying that they're bad movies by any means. They're very nostalgic for a lot of people my age, but me specifically, I didn't really watch a lot of Disney movies growing up. I don't get that sense of nostalgia when I think of a Disney movie. Let's say Aladdin, for example. I've seen the movie, but I don't remember anything about it, and my knowledge of it is all surface level. But something that is nostalgic from Disney that I do remember a lot is the video games. If you were a kid growing up in the 90s, you definitely played Aladdin on either the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. And I did too, but the first taste of Aladdin I didn't actually get from the console versions, I actually got it from the Game Gear version 1 year later. I think a lot of people assume that the Game Gear version of Aladdin is just a port of the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis version, and it's not. It's actually its own thing. Well, kind of. It came out at the same exact time as the Sega Master System version, and it's just a port of that. But the other night I was thinking to myself, and you know, it's been a long time since I've played an Aladdin game, and I wanted to go back to the very first one that I played, because we all know that the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo versions are great. They both share the same title, but are vastly different games. And the same thing could be said for the Sega Game Gear version, so let's pop this thing in and see how different it is from the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis versions. The first level starts us off with a charming cutscene of our little street rat stealing a loaf of bread from a food merchant, to which the city guards pursue you in a chase. And right away you'll notice a very big difference from the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis versions. Here we have a side-scrolling reflex level where you have to jump over obstacles that are coming from the right side of the screen. There's barrels that are placed in your way, rolling towards you, and others are bouncing. There's even pits that you have to clear as well. It's really fun. The controls feel tight and responsive, and I feel like I have total control of Aladdin. And just when you think the level is going on just a little bit too long, it ends. The next cutscene is Jasmine in peasant clothes stealing an apple from a merchant to give to a little kid, to which the merchant yells for the guards to arrest Jasmine. Aladdin, following the code of any honorable street rat, comes in and distracts the guards while he helps Jasmine escape. For this level, you'll be hopping from rooftop to rooftop. Again, it's really fun, and it doesn't go on too long, and it's just hard enough for you to mess up maybe once before completing. Next up, we are treated to a very pleasant looking setting of Aladdin and Jasmine sitting on a rooftop overlooking Agrabah. Just when Aladdin thinks he's finally going to get to unsheath his scimitar, a guard spots them. With one last act of love, Aladdin convinces Jasmine to commit suicide with him, and they plummet off the rooftop to their deaths. Okay, they don't die, even I knew that. Anyway, even their attempts of jumping off the rooftop to get away is all for naught because they still get captured. And it was at this moment, Aladdin realized this suspiciously good-smelling hobo woman is actually Princess Jasmine. Jafar sentences Aladdin to death and throws him in some sort of oubliette-looking pit to be forgotten. Suddenly, a little goblin man creeps out of the shadows and says there's treasure deep within these caves of wonder, and he will show Aladdin the way out of the cave only if he helps him get the treasure, to which he will give Aladdin half. But of course, it's all a ruse. The next level is naturally the Cave of Wonders, and this is more of a platforming stage, and right away you'll find out that you have no way to attack. You can jump, you can dash by double tapping the D-pad left or right, you can crouch, and you can even slide under low places by dashing and pressing down. Another mechanic that's introduced in this level is grabbing ledges, and it kind of reminds me of Prince of Persia a little bit. You can even perform a technique that the manual refers to as fancy footwork. This allows you to tiptoe forward slowly so you can walk over spike traps without triggering them. And you have a health bar at the very top of the screen, which looks like 3 HP, but it's actually 6 because when you get hit by an enemy, damage taken away is only half of a sphere. As far as healing items in this game, there's 2 different types that you can find, and they're all pretty plentiful throughout the level. There's apples that fill a half a point of HP, and there's loaves of bread that fill a full bar of HP. This level wasn't too bad once I memorized it. There's not much in the way of puzzles aside from hitting switches that open doors for you to progress. Some you step on and others you throw rocks to trigger the switch. To pick up rocks you stand over them and press down on the D-pad, and I found that you can hold multiple rocks, but nowhere is there any sort of inventory screen or indication of how many you're holding. Moving on to the next level, and we're in the treasure room. This is where you meet the magic carpet. This level is really simple. All you have to do is jump over pits and collect that shiny treasure. Hey, wait a minute. Why can't I move? No, why can't I move? Ow. whoa. They leave you tempting treasure throughout the level that you have to avoid, and if you do touch it, Aladdin gets entranced by that icy drip and you get crushed by rocks. Not making that mistake again. Once you reach the end of the treasure room, you climb up this pile of rocks to discover the lamp. But of course, things can't just go easy for Aladdin. His dumb monkey grabs this red ruby thing and the cave starts to erupt like a volcano, escaping the Cave of Wonders on the back of the magic carpet as a wave of lava crashes behind you. I remember this level specifically from the Super Nintendo version, and it is in the Genesis version, but the Super Nintendo one specifically made me so angry. But here it's really not that difficult, and you're given enough health items throughout this level to ensure your success in making it out alive. Once you make it out of the cave, Aladdin is hanging onto a cliff where you see that old man has betrayed you, and he literally tries to murder you by bashing your hands with his cane so you fall to your death. But then, Abu Ex Machina comes out of nowhere, steals back the lamp from the Goblin Man, and as you're falling to your doom, the magic carpet saves you before you splatter on the ground. And finally, we're introduced to the character, Genie. One thing I do remember from the Aladdin movies is how funny Robin Williams was while playing this role. Even on this shitty handheld video game with no voice acting whatsoever, you can still hear Robin Williams as you read the dialogue. But you know the drill. Aladdin wishes for the genie to make him a prince so he can try to sleep with Princess Jasmine, and off we go to the palace, which is the next level and the longest level in the entire game. For this stage, the premise is all about finding keys to unlock doors while not getting caught by the palace guards. The way you bypass the palace guards is by throwing rocks at them to daze them, but if you so much as touch the guard, you'll lose the level instantly and have to restart, but the game generously gives you unlimited continues. Once you reach the top of the palace where Princess Jasmine is, the next level will start and you'll be treated to a delightful magic carpet ride, which is a spin-off level of the Super Nintendo version. But where in that version it's just a bonus level where there's no enemies that are attacking you and you're just taking in the mysticism of this world and the beautiful scenery and just collecting jewels, this level is the antithesis of that. Here you have to dodge dirty ass seagulls that will do damage to you if you touch them, and shit flying from trees also doing damage to you, and there's no treasures to find. And the cherry on top of all of this chaos that's supposed to be wonderful, calming, and majestic, an 8-bit rendition of A Whole New World is playing in the background. Alright, moving on. Jafar is sick of your shit, and again, Aladdin is the victim of an attempted murder, but is saved by Genie. And now, we are at the first phase of the final boss fight. You chase Jafar dodging his attacks of fireballs, lightning, and falling objects, and jumping over pits. The best way to do this is to stay as far left as you can, and his lightning and falling objects will never hit you. Same goes for the fireballs, but you'll have to jump over those as they stay on the ground after he casts them. Eventually, you'll back Jafar into a corner where he realizes that you have the magic lamp, and he pieces out of there. From there, you return to Jasmine, leaving the lamp on your bed, and that stupid fucking Gilbert Gottfried parrot steals it for Jafar, which allows Jafar to control Genie, and the second phase of the fight starts. From here, you're face to face with Jafar, and all you have to do is pick up the sword that he conjures and whack him with it until he turns into a giant snake. What giant snake? What? Is that even canon? I don't remember that at all. Hold on, I gotta look this up. Well, I'll be a goddamn monkey's uncle. He really does turn into a snake. How did I forget that? Whatever. Alright, final phase. All you have to do is hit the snake until he goes off screen, and really I just threw myself at him. It wasn't hard at all. Jafar, not being a very smart man, wishes for the genie to make him into a genie as well, and wacky irony ensues. And finally, we reach the last cutscene of the game, where we see Aladdin using his third and final wish to not bang Princess Jasmine, but to set free his genie friend like he originally promised. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a perfect example of what I like to refer to as bros before hoes. Roll credits. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I remember this game being a little bit different, but I'd say it still holds up. I had a great time playing this, even though it was pretty easy, and the game only took me about an hour to beat. But if I'm being honest, this is not the version you want to play if you want that sweet hit of nostalgia. I would play the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis version because most people played that and they didn't play the Sega Game Gear version. Or maybe you did, and if you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. And that's gonna do it for this video, you guys. Let me know down in the comments section if you've played any of the Aladdin games on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, or even the Game Gear or Game Boy. I didn't play the Game Boy one because I had this one and I had the Genesis version, and my little brother had the Super Nintendo version, so I got to play a wide variety of the games. But I think I like the Super Nintendo version the most, even though I was a Sega kid growing up. Shh. And I would like to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much. Nuka P Demon on YouTube, Russ Lyman on YouTube, Nintendo25 on YouTube, Creep Queen on Twitch, go check her out, Aaron Parks, Mr. Pisley, Sean Phillips, Klonoa Gamerboy, Anonymous, Amanda, Dren Hatamata on YouTube, and last but not least, Looney. And if you guys want your own personal shout out at the end of every future video that I do, go check out my Patreon page, link is down below in the description. It's a $1 a month tier that gets you a shout out at the end of every future video that I do from here on out. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time in the Nerd Lair. Stay nostalgic. Hey, thanks for staying till the end of the video. You're awesome. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Dislike the video if you disliked it, and check out some of my other videos. If you like this one, you might like those as well. Stay safe and stay nostalgic.